Welcome to Wining and Dining with Jim White. It's the program devoted to introducing you to the people who make the flavors you love. One of our favorites is with us here. Dee Lincoln, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Always good to be on a show with you, always.
So exciting. You're doing so many great things at the Star, and we're going to let you tell us all about Dee Lincoln Prime.
Okay, good.
And congratulations on your wedding.
Wow. Can you believe that? You know, not busy. I mean, building a restaurant, adding on 100 seats, getting married, blending a family, just my daily routine.
Normal day in the life for Dee Lincoln. I can't wait. We'll talk all about it. Let me introduce you also to Steven Doyle, guest gourmet.
I am here. Thank you for having me.
You look great as a guest gourmet. I think you dressed up for Dee. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what? When Dee's here, you wear a jacket.
I love it. I kind of noticed that.
Right, yeah.
That is perfect. Steven, of course, you will know him from CRAVEDFW.com, the bon vivant man about town who brings us all the news you can use about hot restaurants. If you've got a couple of hidden gems or some unknown facts that we need to know about wining and dining, Steven? He's shuffling through his papers.
Look at my notes. Well, I tell you what, one of the most recent restaurants I've been to has been recently been named as a James Baird
Award,
yeah.
Honoree?
Nominee? Yes. Nominee. That's the word I'm looking for.
That's what he's looking for.
I'm so nervous because Dee's here. That's the problem. By the way,
I have
hi,
a
Dee.
tendency to do that. No.
Yeah. But in the back room, they have this little 8-seat pop-up, if you will, and it's just tremendous. About $100 a person, $100 wine paired extra, and just the most amazing meal you'll ever have. And it's the reason why they were nominated for James Baird. And it's in Deep Ellum, and it's just in a taco shop, and you would never suspect. And it's just really amazing. You got to try that out. Revolver Taco.
Revolver. Okay, I didn't hear you say the name.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm remiss.
No. I just wanted to make sure
because Dee's here.
Well, she has that effect on most people, you know.
Right.
She is, after all, the queen of steaks.
The queen of steaks.
I tell you what, I don't know how I got that title, but I'll take it.
Run with it.
Well, you wear it so well. How are things at the Star? You're showing that place off well for the Jones family.
I am. It's really been great. We launched very well in December, as you know, so we're 8 months in, and we didn't have the opportunity last year to really capitalize on all the holiday parties, but more importantly, we were not there during football season. So that's been a really good thing to know that we got football season coming up, and the hotels are booked, especially the Omni, who's a great partner for us. And, but even the high school football, every Friday night we have that as well. So we see in lots of activity, and so that traffic is helping us. And of course, during the week, corporate dining, it's they actually plan to be there. It's a destination, and it's been really good.
It's simply a beautiful restaurant. You're to be congratulated. It's just spectacular. Take people on a little bit of a visual tour. Talk a little bit about some of your design elements. That fabulous wine
cellar.
Yeah.
I really, I'm asked a lot since I've opened, and I'm in the dining room most every night if I can be. Of course, I, took a little time off in July to survive this heat, but I have a great team, have great leaders, kitchen and front of the house, so it makes it easier for me whenever you have, your team put together. However, this one was very special. As you know, that I, 35 plus year career with Dees Friscos, and moving on to dabble in the casual segment. That really was not my space, and it didn't take me long to figure out that where I belong is in a luxury brand, because that's what I knew my whole career. And so this one was 2 years building, did not use a design team. Myself and my girlfriend built it. Had lots of inspirations where we traveled. My architect did a really nice job with the woodwork, as you know. It was inspired through a restaurant in Japan. And so the woodwork is really art with the big columns, 613 pieces each connecting to the ceiling. But the tower, which I give, Charlotte Jones gets all that credit. I mean, that's a pretty grandiose entrance. And, she built 2 of those. And so my neighbor, Mikasina, has a tower as well. But we just did some beautiful things with the entry, and then entering the glass doors and a solid marble wall. And then to be able to look at a formal dining room with linens, and then see this wall, and then kind of turn to the right as you walk in the tower, this beautiful wine cellar that, houses the upside of 2,500 bottles, and beautiful list with wines from around the world. And as well, you walk into the bar and you kind of think this is it, this beautiful bar that's captured all the way around. Everybody sees each other. There's no back bar. So there's a very great communication from the main dining room to the bar booths to the bar to the patio. It's a vibe that flows, but it's more, or a little bit more hip in the bar area than the formal dining room, even though it's connected and separated by just a little piece of glass. But then we added a 6-seat sushi bar, and we have a wine, room, of course, as you know, and a wine wall in the bar. And then we have a sushi bar with a tequila wall that's houses tequilas everywhere from $15 to the La Ligue Patron, which is $950 a shot. So we're doing sake and tequila along with great wines. And so it's just, it's been amazing. It's been really, really good. And I'm adding 100 seats. It's going to open at the end of September, another private dining room.
Wow, that's fabulous. Now, Vicki and I have had one shot of the La Ligue, so that's all you get.
Yeah, you're going to spoil you for sure.
My liver can't tell the difference between a $9 and a $950 tequila. What would a $950 tequila taste like?
Only if you like, I guess you're a connoisseur and a tequila lover, but I learned so much about tequilas, still have so much more to learn. I need to speak to Tony, my general manager. He's the pro with tequila.
Of course.
But I think that one of the things is that I had always just understood wine. So I never really realized the process that went into making tequila, and had the opportunity to go to Guadalajara and go visit Herradura and get in the fields, and in where you literally cutting the agave and digging out the piñas and seeing how the vase, how they smoke it, and I think a lot has to do with just like wines, aging and barrels, and just those types of things, and how long they sit, and because you see some now that's the colors of some of your the tequilas look like a cognac and drink like that. It's like, so it's very smooth, just on the back of the tongue. And sometimes you have a little spice, but it's, not something that I drink a whole lot, but if someone's buying it for me, I really enjoy it.
I'll take two.
Yes, I think in most cases the tequila ferments to the background music of classical music. In the case of the La Ligue, I think it's 9 Inch Nails. It's very edgy.
Exactly. I love it.
Only kidding. Only kidding. Yes, you another. I was going to ask you to take people back to what was really a monumental and even historic first with your tasting bar when Jerry Jones opened AT&T Stadium. Well, it wasn't even AT&T Stadium.
It was the Cowboys Stadium, and I remember very well. I got lucky. I bottled a wine that year, and it says Cowboys Stadium. So it's, it was bottled by Second Label of Palmaz, and so that Dee Lincoln Private Reserve is not very much of it left, so I hold on to a few of those bottles. But it's pretty special saying, Cowboys Stadium is actually on the back of the label versus AT&T.
But it was first of its kind for the
NFL. It was,
and
I had an opportunity to actually see the cuvee systems. Actually, Paris was probably the very first time you would have had anyone doing this, okay? And but then, of course, having a restaurant in Las Vegas at the time, and seeing, Vegas is all the new things and all the innovative things. I believe, as much as I love New York City and had a great experience there, Chicago, LA, but if you don't want to travel internationally, Las Vegas, you can see just about anything. And so, paid a lot of attention to this and knew that the Cowboys were actually looking to do a wine bar, and it fell apart. And I was like, this is a way to put these fabulous wines in, and they don't have to be on the sweet list. So if we can cater to this, specific client, a fan, and then from there they can have the opportunity to order some high-end wines and never be out, because if you have on a sweet list, you got to have the inventory for 300 plus seats at the time. Mm-hmm. Suites, I should say. And so that actually has been fun. It's still going strong, Jim. It opened the day the stadium opened, June of 2009. So we're going into our 9th season, and literally every year we look for the same suite owners entertaining their clients and their families, and we have like a little Cheers bar inside of AT&T Stadium. I don't know how else to put it.
That's got to be about the best place to be.
And it's my social life. I love it. I'm like, I get to go to the game, drink wine, and say hi to everybody I love. Are you kidding me?
Well, so can you tell us a little bit about the discussion that you and Jerry Jones had that led to being in the Star?
Well, I will tell you that, as you know, my career was Dees Friscos.
Sure.
And so synonymous with Del's was Dee Lincoln and Dee Lincoln with Del's. And so when this came up, speaking of the stadium, is that I actually wanted to open a wine bar, and I wanted to call it Bella Vino. Bella being my daughter and Vino for Italian. And so DiNardo is her last name. So she's a beautiful Italian girl. And so did some dialogue, and Jerry was like, okay, you want a wine bar in my stadium that has all these fabulous bars, all the legends and the owners club. And, if you're going to do this, we need to call it Dee Lincoln. And I kind of laughed, and I was like, Dee Lincoln? Well, I didn't think I was going to go to you and say, I want to put Dee Lincoln's in Cowboys Stadium at the time. But anyway, he said to me, you are a brand. And now that you're gone, you need to realize that if you're going to have this kind of entry and put this much into it, like for us physically and financially, is that you need to capitalize on your name. You're a brand, and you're starting right now from leaving your previous career. And that day, I realized when I opened June 6th of 2009, that he was indeed right. And, through tours and through telling my background, obviously it did start to establish a Dee Lincoln brand. So moving to the Star, knowing that they were going to have an anchor steakhouse, and watching as everybody kind of did due diligence, a lot of great steakhouses in Dallas, a lot of steakhouses that weren't in Dallas that wanted to be in the Star as the anchor. And I said to Steven and to Jerry and the family, I said, I really would like an opportunity to do this. And so we had a lot of fun through this process. And, but one thing I'll say is that not only my landlord, the families, my partners, along with a family that the father is in the hotel business. So I got two amazing strategic partners. But he said, all your concentration, this is your space, this is where you belong. So if we want to do this, you got to look at everything else that's on your plate and to make a decision. And that moment, it was an epiphany. I said, I'm getting out of this casual space. It's taking my time. It's not monetarily beneficial. And I'm going to give my all. And that's what I did the 2 years building it, from 15 to the day we opened December 1st of 17. And now, I look back and I feel like my best days was when I made one place great. And that's my goal for Dee Lincoln Prime.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you.
Powerful.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And now the Star continues to evolve. I mean, you've got more people moving in and other establishments. It's really
coming. I rode around
destination.
yesterday, and I didn't realize how much more residential. Of course, I'm watching 12 Cowboys Way because that's going to open in 2020. But lots of restaurants. We are, wanting to see some more retail, and we're working on that because I think that we want that foot traffic. LaCasey does amazing. I mean, there's a handful of retail, and it's high end, so it's our client. And so that's, I think, what, over the next, 18 months to 3 years, what's going to happen in that whole parameter is just going to be unbelievable.
Just even more and more development. I think that area is becoming the center of gravity.
It is. Everybody's going further north, and it's good for me.
Dee's Diamonds. How about that?
Dee's Diamonds. I like
Little
that.
diamond shop, yeah.
Well, gosh, who do I need to talk to about that?
I guess Jerry, right? Daddy Jerry.
Or Charlotte might be.
Yeah, I think
Right,
Charlotte's
right,
got the eye for that.
That's wonderful. You've mentioned Dees Friscos, and of course that wonderful laugh of yours is how most people came to know you until they met you in your dining room with your commercials that you used to record in this very building.
In
actually,
this building.
at KRLD, now Vocal Media.
It's so crazy. When I was pulling up, I thought that. And, I bought a phone number to make sure that if this day came that I went back on the air, it would be remembered. But amazingly, how many people come through my doors every night that remembers those days and remembers the commercials. And I said, well, if I could have bought that number, I would have, but I'm not going to plug them.
You do have the iconic laugh, and that was it right there. And so just like on the commercials, when you go into your restaurant, you know you're there because of that wonderful laugh.
Thank you. It's so funny
It's
is that
so bright.
everyone's like, Dee's in the room. We know Dee just entered the building, you know.
We're glad we're here to relax. Dee's in the dining room again. We'll talk a little bit about that wonderful legacy. I mean, I had forgotten until I was looking back that you guys actually started Del Frisco's in New Orleans, your hometown.
We did. We started in New Orleans, and, you know, we made our way to Dallas in the 80s. I had an amazing career with Dale Wamstad, amazing 14 years together. And then, of course, we sold to Lone Star. And that really and truly was the best years of my life. I mean, Jamie was chairman and CEO, and Jamie Coulter was my mentor. And he really did take me from outside of the four walls, which I do very well, and the whole hospitality piece of it, into really learning what it's about to really run a business. I mean, at the time, they were already a public company. And so we built 5 amazing restaurants under his leadership and went on to build 3 more while I was there. But everything changed. I mean, you know, when it went back private with an equity firm, it changed. The whole dynamic changed. And it's still an amazing brand. I had a great career, and but you know, as I say to people, it was just an era that came to an end because my passion and drive is different. And it's okay when you grow in a brand now, because I understand Wall Street, they're looking for something completely different than what I'm willing to give of my time. I mean, if I'm going to be there, I have to make a significant difference to my guest and my internal guest, which is my team. And so that's really, when I look back on it, as I say to everyone, is that this restaurant is more special than anything I ever did in my past career. And it is because of, first, you know, my daughter. Secondly, the fact that, you know, just getting married, also blending a family. And it's for my family this time. It's a lore and legacy for us. And they were a part of me building this, where especially Bella, she didn't understand Del Frisco's. She was 6 years old when I left the brand. She did not know what her mom did. And this is something now that, you know, on November 14th of 17, Jerry Jones spoke to 400 people, and he addressed her and shared my story with her that I probably had, I know I had never told her. And he said, your mom is the American dream. All this she did for you and her family, but look at the people in this room who's loved her, you know? So it's very different. And I know people say, you can see it, but this journey is different, and this is a new era for us.
That's a beautiful story. I hope a lot of men and young women, and I hope everyone will take that story to heart. What kind of advice would you give a young woman trying to forge her way in a tough restaurant business, mostly still male dominated? It
is male dominated. You know, I was very lucky because I grew up with, you know, all brothers. I'm an only girl, and
so you know how to get rough them up.
So, you know, I am very much a lady, but, you know, I'm pretty tough, you know. But truthfully, when I look back, you know, I just will say that whatever it is that you want to do, especially in the hospitality business, and every business is tough, but you're seeing it's changing always. And Steve, you can speak to that. I mean, you see it. You know, things are not the way it was back in the day, but still, is that what I think the most is that I just concentrated on the fact that this is what I wanted to do. So I had a love for people, and I'm certainly not a chef, but I understand flavors. I love to cook. And so I was able to get into every aspect of that business. And that's where I would say is that, you know, bartending, bussing tables, waiting tables, you know, being in the kitchen, you know, everything, and learn that as well as the people you surround yourself with, because there's not a day. I have an amazing team, but you know, there's not any fear about how is things going to run if there's a moving part, because I just have surrounded myself with great people, but I also have taken the core through the years and made sure that I knew it first, if you may. And I just believe that women are very powerful, and like you said, to young women, is that there's not anything you can't do. I mean, if you just focus on that goal, and you just every day you strive for it. There's lots of people out there. It can be other women, it can be It can be men, it can be outside business people, like I said, what Jamie was in the beginning, and let those mentors help you along that journey to get where they want to be.
Key advice to get to the level of competence which breeds confidence. And you exude that.
I'm loving what I do. I mean, I can honestly say I never dreamed, I'm not going to tell my age, but boy, I'm getting up there that I'm doing this all over again.
Well, I know the people who are around you every day are inspired, and they see what a positive role model you are and what a positive, happy attitude you have. I hadn't seen you in a little while when you first opened, and we came out and we did an audio-only interview.
It was great for you to be in the building, too, because I think you got a really better sense of what I did here.
Yeah. But the point I wanted to make is this seems to be, from an outsider's point of view, who hasn't been around you every day, such a happy time in your life. And I think September 9th might have a lot to do with it.
It indeed did, and indeed did. But you're right. When you professionally and personally can put it all together and find that balance, and that goes back again to your leadership. I mean, we see it every day. I mean, Steve, Jim, you agree that, it's getting tougher and tougher in every industry, but in the hospitality industry, to find great people is so challenging. And that has truly been my gift, my blessing, is that I've had people come to me and I was able to pick the best of the best in every area, and I'll create that environment for them. I mean, for hospitality to be open 6 evenings only, closed Sundays, no lunches, that was the culture that I did before, that all changed with the changes that went along with Dees Friscos. Whole different mission, but that's not the culture inside of Dee Lincoln's walls. And that is truly, like you said, it is the happiest times. I have blended everything in my life, and I have perfect balance. And I honestly cannot believe that I can't believe, I'm just grateful. But it just all has came together for me in the last few years, better than I ever imagined.
That's wonderful. So well deserved, too. I love that laugh. Thank you. Well, let's talk about some of your great team, TJ and Mark and some of the other folks, and talk a little bit about what they're doing with food and sushi and so on.
Well, so unfortunately, Mark is not with me because he had a family business in Richardson. And so funny seeing Nick, and made me think about that. But he's at a family business, so he did some great things in consulting early on and opened with me. But TJ has assembled a couple of guys to do sushi and doing it really well, because we executing a lot of that menu that brought us to the dance, if you may. But Chef TJ is amazing. I mean, we talked about this earlier, but he has a background first in Pappas, so he understands core steakhouse, and he really knows how important that is to deliver that first. But he's done so much with seafood, and it's not secondary at all. I mean, it is a focus on my menu and the daily features. And so his seafood dishes are just, they're beautiful, they're art, the flavors are great, they taste wonderful. And I have a really good sous chef that had a background with me, and he came back, and Ricky's been there, and so he's awesome. But then moving to the front of the house is just, in the last 4 months, in March/April, I was able to get Chris Roberry on board. And he worked with me back in the day at Sullivan's, and of course he was at Richard Chamberlain's for a while, and then he was 7 years at Dakota's. So very strong front of the house, understands people, hospitality, great structure, leadership. And then, Anthony Picaro, Tony, Nick and Sam's, Bella's, works with me. He was in New York 3 years, and bringing him back has brought, if you can imagine Dee Lincoln and, Tony Picaro in the dining room, it's like, and then we add Chris into that element, and just, good bartenders. But my management team is very strong. It's very strong. That's where my balance comes from, knowing who's taking care of the place if I'm not there.
Yeah, you mentioned seafood, and I think that's one of the really big tests for me is when I go into a steakhouse, I usually order seafood first. And it's a big deal for me. And I think you do a marvelous job on that. And the sushi, I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, that's the star of a show in itself.
It's been fun. And what's so interesting is that people are really having that as their first courses. I mean, we're doing some beautiful platters. And when you do these sushi platters, it's like, in the traditional steakhouses, you see the oysters and the crab, crab legs and the lobster and those kinds of things. And we incorporated these beautiful, tiger prawns with remoulade and cocktail. You got to throw that in. But we doing all this yellowtail and smoked salmon and, like you said, all these beautiful sashimis that are going into these platters. And then, one of the things and fun I had with TJ was, I wanted to do a whole fish. And so we got this beautiful 3-pound whole snapper. And he's like, first one he made for me was on Asian slaw. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You got to learn how to make a Cajun rice. And boy, did he. And so it's on Cajun rice.
That's your big
the big
deal.
fish, the big fish. That in the board, we do the chairman of the board, which is a 35-ounce dry-aged porterhouse with some long bone lamb chops. And we don't do all these other dry-aged. That is our only dry-aged steak. It's to be shared along with the big fish. And it is amazing. So we do that, and we do it excellent. And then we can bring in tomahawks. We can bring in lobster tails. So we switched it up a lot in this steakhouse. I really feel like we've evolved to what diners expect, and it's no more just meat and potatoes. You got to execute some really great differential things to be able to just persevere through. And there's too many steakhouses. If you don't, there's no point of difference.
I know you take special requests, and I heard rumor, and you can spell this if you wish, that someone wanted a chicken fried tomahawk. Is that?
And we did it. Yes.
And I won't say who. You can if you want, but.
And you see, I just spoke of the tomahawk. And so they asked us, well, if you're paying $165 for a tomahawk and you want me to deep fry it, I mean, I'm a Cajun girl. I know how to do it better than anyone.
Let's go, yeah.
Let's go, But that is, that's something that has been really special. In fact, just this past Saturday night, a Four Top sat at the table, and this gentleman, which I didn't know, ordered 2 beautiful bottles of Montrachet, and and then we got on this conversation about white burgundies, and he said, my wish would be that you'd have more on. I said, actually Tony said, sir, tell me what you want. Next time you're in, we'll have it here. And we really pay attention to our clients. I mean, to our guests. They're not customers, they're not clients. They really are guests. They're a guest in our home, and we want to make sure their experience is second to none.
Well, that's how you built the successful brand for Dees Friscos. And, there would be simply no reason at all to change now.
Exactly. I always remind myself, a lot of those things they don't do anymore. I go, it's okay. I'll embrace all those things. I mean, it's like I brought the rose back, which has been very special. That was the logo for many, many years. Had a beautiful artist in Colorado paint my entry piece of art that is the most fabulous red rose you will ever see, and incorporated these beautiful little votives that my husband and I now found in a little restaurant in Colorado, and 3D work of art, little French votives with roses. And you know what? The guests recognize all those things because they know the journey. And I love that. I've made new friends, but my old friends really understand the journey.
That is right. I saw on your website, and I suspect this is your motto, life is for living.
Life is for living. That's correct. I sign my wine bottle that way. I sign the menus that way. And I'm actually a testament to it for sure right now. But I've lived a great life. But you know what? Right now, this moment, things are just really, they've exceeded all my expectations.
I'm delighted. Well, let's do the portion of the program where for folks who don't know where the star is and haven't been to your restaurant can find you. Let's give all the information and the phone number.
Okay, so it's Dee Lincoln Prime, 6670 Winning Drive, and the phone number is 214-387-3333.
Awesome.
With the laugh, with the patented laugh.
With the patented laugh, it belongs to me.
God bless you. Congratulations, both on your wonderful restaurant and on your wonderful new life. And with your marriage, and may it last forever. I wish we had some of that Montrachet that we could toast with now.
Exactly. You good Reds coming your way. Just come see me at the Star. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Steve. It's really an honor to always be with you. You bring out just so much in me when we have a great dialogue. And I got to say, it's just I'm blessed to do some other interviews, and I love it. Anything that I am invited to, it's an honor for me. But I always enjoy these shows with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Mr. Doyle, our guest gourmet, thank you so much for being with us again. We're going to concentrate all on you on our next program and everything you ever wanted to know but were afraid to ask about CRAVEDFW and Steven Doyle.
That's gonna be fun. Dee, will you stay behind?
You need me to help
Will you come
out
back next
a little
week? Bring some wine with you.
I'll bring the red wine.
There you go. We'll need that.
We may need it. Thank you both. It's wonderful. Wonderful
you,
being
Jim.
with you. And thank you for joining us. And remember, if anybody asks you what you're making for dinner, tell them reservations at Dee Lincoln Prime.